Hey, hello. My name is Niederstadt, and I'll be talking about moving from talk to action in professional learning by Gem Knight. So who am I? Why did I choose this article? I'm Niederstadt, a current Algebra 2 and AP Statistics teacher at Horn High School in Mesquite, Texas, and my future career aspirations are to become a curriculum specialist or a TEKS facilitator at the district level so I can impact many students academically. Instructional coaching was not something I'd considered before taking this course, but now I feel more confident about the future possibility. So I chose the article, Moving from Talk to Action in Professional Learning by Gem Knight, because I spend so many hours in professional development every year, but none of the professional development gets implemented across the board. So whether it is implemented, it's not implemented fully by every teacher in every subject. So I wanted to know what we could do to help these teachers move past those first steps to actually using professional development and learning in practice daily. So what are we missing? Is it the teachers? Is it the administrators? Is it a time management issue? What do we need to do? So there were five stages of implementation discussed by Knight. First, he speaks of Prochaska, Norcross, and De Clemente's stages of implementation, and then Hall's and Hord's level of use to describe how people move through different stages in their journey of learning and change. So Knight uses non-use, awareness, mechanical, routine, and proficient to describe implementation and how each step has its own hindrances and helping phases. So the first stage is called non-use. It's when someone is doing something that they aren't willing or unable to do it. So as administrators or instructional coaches, we have to determine which one the client is facing and see why they need help. Did they miss training and did not get started? Or do they need to know why they should try this new strategy? Maybe it's against their belief system. Next is awareness. This is when someone knows something about this concept. They're not resistant, but they just aren't implementing the process. For example, this is the person who knows about writing strategies but haven't used them yet. This is the best opportunity for an instructional coach to come in and show the person what and how they can implement the training into their current teacher tool. Sometimes people just need to see examples. The next step is mechanical. So mechanical describes the stage where people are beginning to implement the change, but it is awkward because it's also new. This is the stage when teachers tend to go back to their old ways. This is one of the big stages where an instructional coach can offer supportive comments to keep their client on track. After that is routine. So this is when the teacher feels more comfortable and confident. The instructional coach can really begin to release more of the responsibility here, but still support the teacher in making real change. Here you're looking for what is left and still needs to be done to help make this a permanent change, and you're seeing if it really benefits the teacher in their classroom. Lastly, we have the proficient stage. Proficient is the final step of implementation. Here, the client has a deep understanding of the skills and how to modify or innovate when necessary. Here, a person can adapt to the needs of specific students. So the real point of this article is to explain how to support clients moving through the stages until they reach proficiency. It's important to know if your client is resisting because they have ideological differences or if it's the approach to change coming from the leader. Sometimes teachers feel like they don't have a voice despite being experts in their field and want to be heard on whether the new strategies chosen fit their classroom. If they do not feel listened to and heard, they will likely resist big changes. Teachers also often want proof that this works. However, the best way to prove that something works is to implement it in your classroom. So it's an instructional coach's job to show that yes, it can work, but also to get the person to make a change and decide to try this next process. We have to help teachers get out of their comfort zone and in a space where they feel it's okay to fail and then try again. So instructional coaches must recognize the stage that their client is in so they can support them in the process of implementation. So the next thing I had to talk about was practical applications and real-world connections. So this article has a lot of real-world applications. I see it especially in my school with my personal problem is Desmos. Desmos is the online graphing calculator embedded into the STAR online platform and the SAT online platform. It works like a traditional graphing calculator when in locked mode, except students can type in exactly what they want to do instead of going through a series of menus to find the operations they're looking for. Unlocked Desmos does have a few extra features that traditional graphing calculators do not, such as being able to type linear equations in standard form rather than slope-intercept form, but it still functions in basically the same way our traditional TI-84 graphing calculators work. A number of teachers at the school who do not already use Desmos for instruction are pushing back majorly against the implementation. This is the perfect time to use these talk-to-action steps. An instructional coach can come in to listen to the teachers in the non-use stage and see exactly what is causing them to push back against the usage of an online graphing calculator. And my experience has been that the teacher is unfamiliar with how it really works and assumes that it solves every math problem for the student. So an instructional coach can be helpful here to break down those assumptions and demonstrate how Desmos is not inherently different from a TI-84, only more accessible to students when they are not at school. The issue with TI-84s is that we have class sets, but the students cannot take them home. So when they're at home, they have to use either an app on their phone or some sort of downloadable graphing calculator on their computer. The issue with that is that some of our students, because we are in an economically disadvantaged area, do not have access to a cell phone at home. Or if they're grounded, they don't have access to a cell phone, even if they, claim that they need to use it for schoolwork. The other issue is that calculators online are not exactly the same as the TI-84. There will be some different verbiage, sometimes the buttons are in a different place, but they're not exactly the same because what TI-84 has and what Texas Instruments has is proprietary. So Desmos is great because it is equitable, meaning that students access the same thing. Every student has the same resource. They can access it on their computer, at home, the same Chromebook, the same thing we use in class, and they don't have to worry about seeing something different than their peers. So Desmos is my preference. So this article has strategies for identifying these teachers and helping them move through implementation. Soon all students on campus will be allowed to use Desmos in their classrooms and will be prepared for the calculator they will use on these STAR or SAT exams. Lastly, we're going to talk about my personal reflections. So as far as instructional goes, or as far as instructional coaching goes, if I were actually in the role of instructional coach, I would probably find myself in the mechanical stage. I'm trying, but it's a little awkward, and I don't always know how to adapt the questions I ask to specific circumstances, and I will not do any of these tasks very effortlessly. It does feel nice to be able to label the stage of progress I'm in and know what steps I need to take to improve or what to notice when I have improved. I feel like this will give me the confidence to identify where teachers are and meet them where they are. I feel like this made a lot of sense as far as implementation goes. I know I often get stuck in a perfectionism loop and I don't always feel supported to make mistakes and try again. I personally tried to implement a new curriculum this year to students in a course I'd never taught before. At the end, their scores on their exams were abysmal. They didn't seem to learn anything. I only had a few students pass their AP exam. I was definitely in the mechanical stage with them and the curriculum. I was awkward, uncomfortable, and oftentimes I felt like I didn't know what I was doing. I wanted to give up when I saw my scores. However, this article helped me realize that I'm just at that weird stage and sometimes I'm going to fail. It's my problem that I need to keep continuing. I need that support to move on with this curriculum that I'm unfamiliar with. So I have to be willing to put in the work and get more confident with the material I'm teaching. Eventually, it'll get to the routine stage where I feel more comfortable. It was getting better towards the end of the school year, and perhaps at the beginning of this year, I'll feel ready to shine and try more challenging teaching strategies with these students to help give them a better understanding of the materials. So my goal with this is, now that I feel like I have some sort of understanding of what I'm working with, I can move to that routine stage and work a little harder, put some more time and effort and energy into it, and use my instructional coach as a resource to help me feel like I can be successful. So those are my personal reflections on what I learned from this article. I hope that you learned something too. And I really hope that I get to use this information as I'm working to mentor a new teacher this year during year 7. Thank you.